My thoughts on some of the best-selling designer fragrances of all time. YSL Y EDP. This for me is the best in the line in terms of value versus the price versus the performance. Now, Y EDP is a beautiful mix of sweetness with freshness. You've got beautiful apple and sage in the opening with sweet tonka bean in the dry down. So it's sweet, it's fresh. This is a great versatile fragrance for all occasions. If you own YSL Y EDP, you can wear this to literally any situation, any weather condition, and you know you're going to smell great. So this gets a thumbs up from me. I think it's worth the hype. It's one of the best selling designer fragrances for a reason. Next up, we have an OG, PACO Rabanne 1 million. This one, I guess you could say it's a little bit played out, but I still actually like the smell. If this was released now, so if we'd never had PACO Rabanne 1 million and this was released now, I think this would still be a hit. I don't think it would be too outdated. I think this would still be a good fragrance if it was released now. The opening is beautiful. It's got one of the best openings of mandarin orange. You've got cinnamon. You've got a kind of sexy leather note as well. And you've got saffron. Saffron in here is very prominent. And it was a very creative fragrance at the time. It was game-changing, I guess. And this changed the whole way men's fragrances were created after that. So if you want a piece of fragrance history and you want to know why we have a lot of sweet men's fragrances now, then this in your collection would really tell a story. But do I recommend buying it now? If you only want a fragrance to smell good, I probably would choose something else because I think this one is a bit overplayed. I think that people recognize the smell too much and it's probably not the best choice to go for now. Next, another amazing seller. This is SPICEBOMB Extreme. Now, this is the one I'd go for probably out of the 6 or so that are in the line. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go for this one or the new Infrared EDP. This one is one of the best winter designer fragrances that you can buy. Tobacco, vanilla, spices. It's warm, it's comforting. It's actually a great date night fragrance as well, and even summer evenings you could rock this and smell great. It smells almost niche quality. That's one thing I love about SPICEBOMB Extreme. It's a high quality fragrance, performance is great, just smells so smooth, sweet and comforting. So would I recommend SPICEBOMB Extreme? Absolutely. It's hyped up for a reason. It's very good. The king of clubbing, some may say. Not everyone goes clubbing, but you can still enjoy this. Versace EROS. Now, I'm not sure if I'd go for the EDT. I'd probably go for the Eau de Parfum, but the EDT is a classic, and that's what we're going to talk about now. Is it the king of clubbing? I don't really enjoy going clubbing, so I'm not going to give my opinion on what's a good clubbing fragrance, but this can be worn to most situations. It's versatile, and it's a very unique DNA, which is very recognizable. Apple, mint, and vanilla. It's fruity, it's sweet, it's quite youthful. So anyone over the age of 40 or so, you might want to try this before you buy it just to see if it's not too sweet and youthful for you. But actually, I really enjoy this fragrance. And I sprayed this on a friend of mine who's a girl. It changed on her skin compared to mine. Mine, it went much more sweet. On hers, it was more fresh. So it does change depending on who's wearing it and your skin chemistry. I think this could be a very good versatile fragrance for most situations. Going out with your friends, having fun, doing whatever. Versace Eros is going to have you smelling good. Sweet, fresh, sexy. There's so many here. I'm going to have to do a part 2. Yves Saint Laurent, La Nuit de l'Homme. This, of course, is a classic. Probably hyped up by Jeremy, I would say, more so than anyone else. But it's a very nice fragrance. I do really enjoy it. I would probably buy Blue Electric over this because you get better performance. It's a lovely fragrance, very spicy with lavender, cardamom. Could say it's a great date night fragrance. I like the idea of a date night fragrance for this. Doesn't perform very well, but then if you get a big 200ml bottle, it's not that expensive for a big 200ml bottle, and perhaps you could take it with you and respray it. It does smell really nice. It's a really pleasant fragrance. It's very smooth, and everything is balanced really well in this. That's what I find. And there's nothing else that really competes with this in terms of a designer date night fragrance. Maybe the one EDP, but this smells really good. But I would sample this before you buy it just because of the performance. It might only last 2 or 3 hours on your skin, and it might be seen as a waste of money. So definitely try it. But I do like it. I just don't wear it that often. Up next, an old school fragrance. One of the first fragrances I ever tried before I was even into fragrances. When I was about 16, I had a bottle of this. This is La Malle Original. Now, I love the smell of Le Male. I think it's fantastic. This was another sort of groundbreaking fragrance when it came out. This was made by Mason Francis Cookjohn. This is one of the fragrances that he made. I think it was made in the 90s, around 1995, somewhere like that. But this was a groundbreaking fragrance when it first came out. This is lots of lavender. You've got mint. You've got vanilla. It's beautiful. It's quite old school, so it does have an old school smell to it. And I think the issue with Le Male is it was very popular in the early 2000s. So if you're younger now, then maybe your dad or your older brother, your uncle, someone like that would have worn this. So it's a bit like PACO RABANNE 1 million in the sense that it's been sold so many times and so many other brands have tried to create a similar DNA to this that I think it's just maybe a little bit outdated, but it's really up to you. You still could own a piece of fragrance history, and that's why I love owning this, because I love the smell and I love having iconic fragrances in my collection, and this is one of them. I would probably go for either Le Male Elixir or Le Male Le Parfum over this if I was just starting my collection now. And the last one we'll talk about before I do a part 2 tomorrow is D&G Light Blue Eau Intense. Now, I don't get very good performance from most fresh fragrances, which is why I love Louis Vuitton Imagination so much. So when I heard this one is an amazing performing fresh fragrance, I bought it straight away, and it doesn't perform that well on me. It performs better than most fresh fragrances, granted, but it doesn't perform as well as some of the niche fragrances I've got, and I reckon I'd probably get about 4 or 5 hours out of it. It's not a beast mode at all like some would have you believe, but on your skin it might work differently. It's very clean, it's quite musky, it's fresh, it's vibrant, it's a really good summer holiday fragrance. This, if you're going on a beach vacation, somewhere like that, if you wear this, it's going to smell great. And also, this actually comes across as smelling quite refined and expensive. It's not a cheap citrusy fragrance like some designer fragrances have in them. This smells a bit more classy, and I think this could be even worn to work. If you go to work wearing a suit and you want a clean, fresh fragrance to wear, I think this would work really great. So that's 7 or so fragrances, and I've got another 6 more to talk about in part 2. Now let me know, which one would you choose out of the 6 we spoke about? Do you like having these old school fragrances like 1 million, or do you prefer to go for the new releases like Le Male Elixir?